Thanks. I
Thanks,
know.
Thomas. You're the best.
I know I do.
Thomas was in a crazy event yesterday. Really?
He's the only one that doesn't copy paste stories on this.
Oh, hey.
This is Valley View News, and these are today's headlines. A drop in holiday sales is what's causing more JCPenney stores to close. West Hollywood's mayor resigns. He is accused of sexual misconduct. Now questions about whether the Me Too movement includes the LGBTQ community. The LA Fire Department is creating a weekend-long girls' camp where girls get to experience what it's like to be a firefighter.
Hello and welcome to Valley View News. I'm Natalia Vivino.
And I'm Kimberly Silverio.
Another Grand American department store is suffering from the power of the internet. JCPenney has been around since 1902. Now, as Valley View's Sydney Gamino reports, the store is undergoing a major downsizing.
JCPenney will close more stores this year. This comes after a drop in holiday sales. JCPenney employee Jasmine Nava says it's because of online competition.
They just can't keep up with the trends. It's like the same thing as Sears. Like, they can't keep up either. Big box stores are not where it's at anymore.
Some customers were shocked about the closing, saying they didn't know JCPenney was downsizing. But for customers like Carla, it was no surprise.
Maybe they're not selling enough trendy stuff, or like they're overproducing what they are selling, so no one really wants it because everyone already has it.
Earlier this year, the company closed 3 stores. They've added 15 more full department stores and 9 home stores to the list. JCPenney says the stores closing didn't bring in enough capital last year. The final list of which stores are closing hasn't been released. However, nearly all the impacted stores will be closed by the end of the year. Reporting from Northridge for Valley View News, I'm Sydney Gamino.
The popular affordable department store Marshalls will be introducing online sales. CEO of the TJX companies, Ernie Herman, says the online platform will start later this year. Herman says TJ Maxx has been selling online for 6 years, and that's allowed the company to build customer awareness. Store locations and the websites will sell different items so customers can continue to shop for bargains at both.
A threat against a student forced the closure of San Marino High School. Principal Isaac Gates was informed by the San Marino Police Department about a threat of violence. The threat was determined to be credible, so school was canceled for the day. But within the hour, police made an arrest. School officials then sent out notices that students could return to class.
2 young sisters missing from their Northern California home for more than 44 hours have been found safe. Humboldt County authorities say 8-year-old Leah and 5-year-old Caroline Carrico were found unhurt and in good spirits. More than 100 rescue personnel with helicopters and tracking dogs helped with the search. The sisters say they were following some deer tracks and got turned around. They had some wilderness training, which authorities say it's what saved them.
West Hollywood longtime Mayor John Duran announced his resignation today. Valley View News reporter Savannah DeMarco tells us what led up to his decision.
West Hollywood's Mayor John Duran is some people to step down. 3 members of the gay men's chorus says Duran sexually harassed them, allegations the mayor denies. These charges point to another side of the Me Too movement, a movement some West Hollywood residents feel doesn't include men.
In a case like this, the Me Too movement should apply the same way that it would in the case of a woman.
Duran says he's a flirt and he cracks dirty jokes. He also says he would own up to any inappropriate conduct. LGBTQ activist Hedia Rezai says there's a stereotype about gay men being extremely sensual, but that misconception keeps some gay men from revealing their own stories of sexual misconduct.
It's not okay and it's not normal. You know, the type of culture, it's not a culture. Like rape culture is rape culture regardless of what community it's put into.
In the UK, the gay men's health charity GMFA says 62% of British gay men have been touched or groped in bars without their consent. Rezai says not reporting inappropriate touching or comments only leads to bigger problems. Problems that can ruin lives.
It's how we get to these bigger assaults is that we allow people to do these small things and we allow them to think that it's okay because it was just a comment. It was just like a little thing.
Though Mayor Duran's business card is still in City Hall, City Council has decided to end his term early. In West Hollywood, for Valley View News, I'm Savannah DeMarco.
Sacramento County prosecutors say they won't file criminal charges against the 2 officers who shot and killed Stephen Clark. Clark was killed after fleeing from police to his grandmother's backyard. Police thought his cell phone was a gun and then shot him. Also, Clark's fiancée, Selena Mani, is outraged that prosecutors released her personal text messages with Clark prior to his death.
CSUN students, faculty, staff, and police are still trying to figure out ways to make the campus safer. Threats of violence last December caused many students to lose trust in police. On the last day of Black History Month, CSUN held a panel discussion called Empty Your Pockets, Show Me Your Papers. The panel let students and staff meet with CSUN police to discuss campus issues. CSUN's police chief Gregor Murphy believes these panels can improve trust in law enforcement.
Bridging that gap of distrust is the biggest challenge, and and through multiple methods of interaction, I think is the only way to have a chance at that.
Police officer and Sergeant 2 with the Los Angeles Police Department.
On a panel is step 1, where students discuss their issues that they have with campus police, but step 2 is campus police actually making change.
I think overall it was a good step in the door, and I think in the future there'll be better conversations and more thought-provoking conversations and actual actions coming out of those conversations.
CSUN's Chief Diversity Officer Natalie Mason-Kinsey moderated the panel discussion. Some students think the panel was a success and is a right start in the right direction. CSUN says it expects these discussions to spur the new police chief to take more action towards campus safety.
The California Supreme Court is supporting former Governor Brown's rollback of a retirement benefit. It allowed public workers to pad their pensions, but it's unclear whether promised benefits could be taken away. One of the issues is a 2012 pension reform law that didn't allow government agencies to reduce these benefits without compensating workers. Labor unions say if the pensions are altered, it violates previous rulings.
Social media is one of the most dominant areas of the internet. Some millennials are considered influencers because of their popularity online. Valley View's Christina Rodriguez reports on the positive and negative effects from social media ads.
Social media is booming, and financial analysts say ad revenue is estimated to grow from $6 billion to $22 billion by 2020. Magazine ads are costly, but the new era of influencers is taking over the market.
I'm making more money doing this than I had any other job, and I have my own schedule. I make, I'm my own boss, so I'm just gonna, stick with it. And this is where I am now.
Millennials are capitalizing on platforms such as Instagram, Facebook, and Snapchat. For some, digital marketing has been successful, but for others, it's been emotionally draining. The visual communication from social media can trigger many self-esteem issues.
Girls who want to talk about body positivity, they could start a platform on social media, and from their influence, they can leverage that to make a career out of it. It's crazy to me, the opportunities that come from it, and I love it. And then,
Social media manager Amanda Cadena and influencer Jessica Bailey say it's important to separate visual content from reality. Authenticity attracts long-term followers.
Everything's not always picture perfect, as people make it seem to be on social media. So just remember that.
Social media has no sign of ending anytime soon. One thing is for certain, there are pros and cons. In Walnut, for Valley View News, Christina Rodriguez.
Amazon is sending out brand samples to target potential consumers. The program looks at purchase behavior. Some companies are sending up to 100,000 products. Some marketing experts say people feel obligated to reciprocate when they get stuff for free. Other experts say this could alienate people at a time when data privacy is a concern.
Starting April 22nd, Los Angeles restaurants can't hand out plastic straws unless customers request them. The city council passed a law that all food and beverage facilities can give out plastic straws, but only when customers ask. Cupid's Hot Dogs employee Damon Standifer says he doesn't think the ban will have a major effect on business or the environment. CSUN Sustainability Institute's Connor Scott says the CSU system is also implementing its own straw ban. The straw ban affects businesses with 26 or more employees. The city hopes to ban all plastic straws by 2021.
Multiple photos have surfaced online sparking outrage in Orange County. Teenagers are shown with their arms outstretched in a Nazi salute. Red plastic cups were arranged in the shape of a swastika. Local leaders in Newport Beach told the community to use this issue as a learning moment. Costa Mesa Mayor Katrina Foley tweeted, "There is no place for hateful symbols of swastikas and Nazi salutes in our community."
The latest East Coast snowstorm is creating chaos. New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio warns residents to prepare for heavy snowfall.
When we get to the early morning hours, we could see snow coming in at the pace of 1 to 2 inches per hour. And we've seen that before. Those kind of conditions really cause us a tremendous amount of concern.
Boston got more than 10 inches of snow. A state of emergency has been declared in New Jersey. Hundreds of snowplows are being used in New York City. Major travel disruption is anticipated throughout the snowstorm. More than 6 inches of snow has fallen across eastern Pennsylvania and northern New Jersey. Schools in New York and nearby areas are closed.
A series of tornadoes in Alabama and Georgia has killed at least 23 people, and that number could go up. More than 40 people suffered serious injuries and are hospitalized. Meteorologists say 2 tornadoes hit back-to-back in Lee County within an hour. The National Weather Service reported that overall, at least a dozen tornadoes developed with winds up to 170 miles per hour. Donation centers have been set up around Alabama to help those affected. Multiple homes suffered massive damage, including the home of these residents.
We walked outside, it was just like, it's over. Like, everything's gone. Like, everything my parents have worked for.
Alabama's governors say their primary focus is on the search and rescue of people still missing.
4 Americans and their pilot have died in a helicopter crash in Kenya. The 4 friends were on vacation near a remote island in Lake Turkana, a popular tourist destination. Officials say the crew was headed back to a safari camp near the lake shore when something went wrong. The crash is still under investigation.
The Los Angeles Fire Department has long been trying to get more women into the firefighting field. The LAFD aims to motivate girls ages 14 to 18 to pursue their dreams of becoming a firefighter through its annual girls' camp. For 2 full days, the campers are exposed to a day in the life of a firefighter. They even pose as real fighters. LAFD recruiter Christine Larson says different factors went into the idea of a girls' camp.
So this event came out of The conversation we had after our former chief that was in charge of this, Alicia Welch, came and visited me and some of the other staff members from the fire department that worked at Camp Blaze. Camp Blaze is a week-long camp, and it's a stayover camp. And we thought, how could we take that camp and bring it to LA, but shrink it so that it was a little bit smaller and easier to do.
Campers get to climb ladders and even handle real equipment like hose lines, chainsaws, axes, and other tools used by fire crews. 14-year-old Makila McLeod attended the girls' camp for the first time this year.
It's very fun. It's very empowering and shows you how much work you put into it. Like, women here do just as good as men, and some are better than them.
In an industry heavily populated with men, the girls' camp pushes for an equal amount of women in the firefighting industry.
U.S. Air Force's Thunderbirds flew over the San Fernando Valley, Pasadena, and Hollywood today to promote the military's role in the movie Captain Marvel. The squadron's commander says the flyover is a unique moment for those serving in the armed forces who are represented in the movie. The story is about an Air Force fighter pilot who becomes the most powerful superhero in Marvel. The film opens Friday. Are you going to go see it, Kimberly?
Definitely, I will with the family.
You know, I can count the amount of Marvel movies I've seen on one hand, but I'm really excited to know that Brie Larson is playing Captain Marvel because, you know, from what I've read, it could have been played by a man or a woman, and for Hollywood to choose a woman to play that role, that's inspiring so many young girls, don't you think?
Definitely, and I can already imagine little girls wearing the costume over there at the movie theaters, excited to watch the film.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So let's head on over to entertainment news with Bridget Creamer.
Thanks, Natalia. HBO is airing the controversial documentary Leaving Neverland.
Today is your birthday, so congratulations. I love you. Goodbye.
The documentary follows two men who say they were sexually abused by Michael Jackson as children. The two-part documentary includes intimate conversations with the victims. Wade Robson says the abuse started when he was only 7 years old. The second victim, James Safechuck, was 11. Seaside Child and Adolescent Development professor Rika Myers says predators who are sexually abusing children may have been abused as kids too.
Usually you'll see kids confuse the sexual abuse with love. Like, this is what affection looks like to me.
In 1993, Jackson told Oprah Winfrey that he was afraid of his physically abusive father, Joe Jackson. In 2005, the pop star was charged with and acquitted of 4 counts of child molestation. In that trial, Robson testified his relationship with Jackson was innocent. Meyer says changing stories is part of the struggle abuse victims deal with.
So then what you hear could be one story, could be another story, and that is a huge reason why there are so many sexual abuse cases that never go to full conviction.
The Jackson estate filed a lawsuit for $100 million against HBO, claiming that the network violated a non-disparagement clause. Jackson died in 2009 and is survived by his 3 children. The second part of the documentary airs tonight. Riverdale actor Luke Perry is dead at 52. Perry suffered a massive stroke last Wednesday that left him hospitalized until he passed this morning. Perry made his big break in 1992 with his starring role as Dylan McKay in Fox's Beverly Hills 90210. His most recent role was as Fred Andrews, Archie's father, in the hit CW show Riverdale. Riverdale's writers took to Twitter saying that Perry was a joyful and vibrant soul and his legacy will be remembered forever. Johnny Depp is reportedly suing ex-wife Amber Heard for $50 million. The actor says Heard defamed him at the Incredible Woman Gala in 2016. The star said that Depp was physically and emotionally abusive, but Depp denies those claims. The two were married for only 1 year before filing for divorce in 2016. Now to last week's box office, the #1 spot continues to be dominated by How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World. The film flew into the #1 spot for a second consecutive weekend. Universal Pictures says it made an estimated $30 million. Tyler Perry's A Medea Family Funeral secured the #2 spot with $27 million in ticket sales. And rounding out the box office in third place is Alita, the Battle Angel. It grossed close to $7 million and was placed in second last weekend as well. This weekend, Captain Marvel hits theaters this Friday. Brie Larson is the first female-led superhero for a Marvel film. The film will probably answer the so many questions much anticipated by the Avenger film next month. The Jonas Brothers released their new single, Sucker, along with a music video. The video features leading ladies Priyanka Chopra Jonas, Sophie Turner, and Danielle Jonas. The brothers' band broke up over 5 years ago, but on Thursday, the brothers announced that they are getting back together. The lead singer is Nick Jonas, and he says that they have 30 to 40 singles that they will be releasing over the next year. That's all for entertainment today. Now, back to you.
More to come up on Valley View News. What's happening with ISIS in North Korea?
And an outbreak of measles in Chicago. Stay tuned.
CSUN's campus newspaper has been at work on a couple of stories.
Here's Sundial reporter Elliot Keegan.
The Lime Bike program is going to end at CSUN on March 19th. The Lime company, which runs the program, wants to focus on their scooter rental service instead of the bike rental. So CSUN might be looking for some other companies to take its place, but the scooters will be available throughout the valley and around Northridge, so students can still use those around campus. And the Matador baseball team won against Michigan 5-2 in the last of a 3-game series. They ended up losing the series, though, ultimately to Michigan, who are ranked 17th in the country. And professors in the English department are reporting that students are failing English 115, the intro college-level English class, at higher rates than they ever have before. And some wonder if the executive order, which is passed by the Chancellor's office and placing students in these classes, might be unprepared for the coursework, and that might be the reason that more students are failing than before. So that's it for the Sundial. Back to you in studio.
It felt like March Madness again last week in the Matadome. UC Riverside and the Matadors were going back and forth all game. Coach Gottfried used the 7-foot height of Kaba Kamara Muhammad in the second half. He hadn't played in over a month, but had an impact on defense. Getting a key block late in the game, Lamine Janae has been the scoring leader this season, but it was Terrell Gomez who hit the game winner with 1.6 left on the clock. UC Riverside's DJ McDonald missed the half-court shot, and the Matadors earned their 12th win. CSUN now has one home game left. This is students' last chance to witness NBA talent Lamine Janae. He's averaging 24 points and 11 rebounds this year. The team is currently on a 3-game winning streak as they look to finish strong before the Big West tournament.
What's going around the world? Let's go to Claudia Flores in the news for more.
Venezuela opposition leader Juan Guaido returned to his homeland. He spent time with officials in Brazil, Argentina, and Ecuador. He wanted to gain international support during Venezuela's political crisis. Guaido called for a nationwide anti-government demonstration. He encouraged people to take on the streets. When his plane landed, he was greeted by a large crowd of supporters. Guaido left the country during a travel ban put in.
Sorry.
Yeah. It sounds weird, so I don't know.
Go ahead.
Oh, travel ban.
What's going on around the world? Let's go to Claudia Flores in their newsroom for more.
Venezuela opposition leader Juan Guaidó returned to his homeland. He spent time with officials in Brazil, Argentina, and Ecuador. He wanted to gain international support during Venezuela's political crisis. Guaidó called for a nationwide anti-government demonstration. He encouraged people to take to the streets. When his plane landed, he was greeted by a large crowd of supporters. Guaidó left the country during a travel ban put in place by Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro. When asked about the risk of arrest, Guaidó says he'll continue to fight for the people.
Sí, sin duda, pero...
Yes, there is no doubt. But remember that the exercise of politics in Venezuela is criminalized, not only towards me. Today there are 1,000 political prisoners in Venezuela.
Maduro says Guaidó will be brought to justice. U.S. fighters are trying to recapture the last territory held by ISIS in Syria. Retaking this land will end a 4-year campaign. ISIS once controlled areas throughout Syria and Iraq. A commander of the Syrian Democratic Forces says ISIS militants usually attack during the day, while U.S. fighters attack at night. This global fight against the Islamic State has been going on for nearly 8 years. The family of a U.S. Saudi citizen being held in Saudi Arabia says the U.S. needs to do more to help. Dr. Walid Fatai's family says he's been beaten, tortured, and jailed. He was detained during November 2017 at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel. His family has been able to visit and talk to him on the phone. He went back to Saudi Arabia in 2006 to start a hospital and would then return back to the U.S. for business. The State Department confirmed Fatai's detainment and says it's reached out to the Saudi government. National Security Advisor John Bolton defended President Trump after his ill-fated summit with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un.
If you can't get a good deal, and the president offered North Korea the best deal it could possibly get, no deal is better than a bad deal.
Trump's summit in Vietnam looked to denuclearize North Korea in exchange for the lifting of sanctions. The failed deal led to criticism of both leaders on social media. It's unclear if another summit will be scheduled. Captured Indian pilot. Pakistan released an Indian pilot after days of tension between the two nations. Pakistan released the pilot to try to ease tensions after India launched airstrikes targeting militants in Pakistani territory. The pilot was returned at the disputed border region of Kashmir. Both countries control parts of Kashmir, but each side claims the entire region. The pilot says the Pakistani army was very professional and treated him well. That is it for international news. Back to you, Natalia.
Now let's go to Sandy Chavez to tell us the latest about the measles warnings.
Thank you, Natalia. Health officials are warning against measles exposure in Chicago. They say an unvaccinated Illinois resident arrived at Midway Airport while infected with measles. The patient received treatment 2 days later at Del Mar Hospital, where people in the emergency department were also exposed. Now there are at least 5 people with measles. Health officials say if people are infected, they could develop symptoms as late as March 20th. Symptoms can include high fever, rash, runny nose, cough, or red, watery eyes. A child has died from a flu outbreak in Chicago. It's the first pediatric death of the season in Illinois. Local doctors and nurses are beginning to see a rise in severe flu cases. Nearly 200 students from Arlington Heights stayed home because they were sick. Students are encouraged to stay home and heal since influenza is highly contagious. A study published by the journal Circulation shows people ages of 35 to 54 made up to 30% of heart attack patients between 1995 and 2014. Researchers say the number of young men went down over the years, while the number of young women is rising. Heart disease is still the leading cause of death in the United States. Walmart is pledging to find roles for disabled workers. The CEO says the company's goal is to offer appropriate accommodations. Longtime employee Adam Catlin says, who suffers from severe palsy, will continue to work for the retailer but in a new role. The company says
I'm going to be sitting by the self-checkout, promoting the self-checkout and saying hi to the people.
The company says it's in early process of reaching out to disabled employees and will continue to make new offers. That's all for Health Today. Back to you, ladies.
Coming up on Valley View News, SpaceX has successfully launched a 7-seat vehicle made to take people to the International Space Station.
Also, see which car company is changing the top speed on their vehicles. Stay tuned.
Here's to the things that can keep us safe. Those we use all the time with hardly a thought. Those that are silently standing by to save our lives. And now, those that we carry with us everywhere we go. Many mobile devices will now bring you wireless emergency alerts, real-time information directly from local sources you know and trust. With the unique sound and vibration, you'll be in the know, wherever you are.
Welcome back to Valley View News. It's now time for technology news. Let's go to Byron Gonzalez to tell us more about SpaceX and NASA's latest launch into the next frontier.
Well, SpaceX is doing a lot. SpaceX successfully launches a 7-seat vehicle designed to take people to the International Space Station. Crew Dragon has yet to be occupied by people, but the only thing on board was 400 pounds of cargo and a dummy named Ripley. Officials say Ripley is fitted with sensors to record everything an astronaut would feel during the mission. It arrived at the space station without a hitch and plans to return to Earth on Friday. SpaceX and NASA plan to launch its first crewed mission in July. Lyft drivers will soon get a lift to the stock market. Documents filed Friday suggest the rideshare company Lyft expects to raise $100 million in an initial public offering in the coming weeks. This move to Wall Street comes after revenue skyrocketed last year. The company has been competing with Uber to go public first and capitalized on Uber's decreasing revenue. Lyft hopes that investors will look past its losses and instead bet on a future of self-driving cars, electric scooters, and bikes. Wells Fargo has agreed to pay $240 million over the creation of millions of unauthorized customer accounts. The settlement will be paid to shareholders that have alleged Wells Fargo officials knew about or consciously disregarded the fake accounts. They say the scandal has significantly damaged its reputation. Officials have denied any wrongdoing. Volvo is limiting the top speed on all of its cars to 112 miles per hour starting in 2021. The company says it's aiming to reduce traffic fatalities. A report by the Governor's Highway Safety Association says that more than 6,000 pedestrians were killed in crashes just last year. That's a 4% increase from 2017 and the highest mortality rate since 1990. Volvo says its goal is for no one to be killed or seriously injured in a Volvo vehicle by next year. Volvo is also exploring speed control and geofencing technology that could automatically limit its speeds of its vehicles around schools and hospitals. The new Tesla Model Y crossover SUV will be unveiled next Thursday. The company will reveal the anticipated vehicle during an event at Tesla's design studio in Los Angeles. Elon Musk says more details about specs and pricing will be announced. This will be Tesla's 5th car. Victoria's Secret will close 53 stores due to a sales drop of 70%. Analysts say the chain has failed to adapt to consumer demands for custom-fitted bras and inclusive advertisement. The difficult holiday period and store closures come after this company's CEO resigned, and the annual Victoria's Secret fashion show got its lowest ratings. Britons should be careful about what they say about the royal family on social media. The royal family has rolled out new guidelines for internet trolls. They say trolls will be blocked and may be reported to police if they post offensive messages about the family. These new guidelines come after the online harassment by Meghan Markle and Kate Middleton. The household says it reserves the right to decide whether comments can be blocked. Well, that's it for technology and business news today. Let's go to Kimberly and Natalia with a story about a couple who opened a pizza shop to help the homeless.
Thanks, Byron. Can't believe the royal family is fighting against internet trolls. A new Indianapolis pizza shop opens with the intention of providing jobs for the homeless. Before opening Agape Pizza, Tom and Angie Wilhelmi were making pizza to feed the homeless. Co-owner Tom says he has first-hand experience with being homeless.
When I was transitioning from selling drugs and running a gambling operation to trying to go legit, I was homeless myself.
Currently, all the tips the business makes goes directly to a ministry called Tear Down the Walls. The Wilhelmi says they want Agape Pizza to be a new beginning.
Instead of always being turned down for jobs, here, you've got the job. Don't worry about it.
There are more than 1,500 homeless people in Indianapolis, and Agape Pizza is there to help.
That's all for us at Valley View News. Thank you for watching. I'm Natalia Vivino.
And I'm Kimberly Silverio. For more news any time of the day, go to our website at csun.edu. See you next week.
Great show, guys. Cool.
No, that was, yeah.